In this method, let's see the topic on method of soil exploration. First of all, myself B. Chelapriya, Assistant Professor Civil, Rohini College of Engineering and Technology, Palkulam. So there are various methods used in soil exploration. First one is test pit and it is used for shallow depth. Next one auger boring. It is used for shallow or deep, that is large depth. Next one is wash boring, percussion boring and rotary boring. First one, test pit or trial pit. So test pit is a simple and economical method for conducting soil explorations at a shallow depth. In this method exploration, a square pit is excavated and soil samples are collected at a required depth. In here, the method of excavation are done manually and the size of the pit may be square or circular in plan of size 1.2 to 3 meter, and then collections of soil sample. After excavating the test pit up to a required depth, the soil sample is collected from the bottom of the test pit. Here, undisturbed soil sample is collected by driving a thin wall sampler at the bottom of the pit. This is done by placing a sampling tube vertically at the bottom of the test pit. A flat metal plate is placed on the top of the sampler and it is driven by a smooth blows of hammer to a required depth. When it is reached at a required depth, the molten wax is poured on the surface of the soil in the sampling tube to prevent the evaporation of water from the soil sample. After collecting the undisturbed soil sample, the loose soil at the bottoms is taken a sufficient quality and collected in a bag, and it is labeled and transported to the laboratory test. The main advantage of the test pit or this method is simple and fast, and it is a most economical method of soil exploration to a shallow depth. In here, undisturbed samples are collected with minimum disturbance. So, the test pits are particularly valuable in investigating the nature of fill material, where the voids, loosely deposit layer, etc. Next, auger boring. Auger boring is done by vertical holes are advanced by rotating the cross arms of auger and pushing the auger into the ground. When the auger is filled with soil, it is withdrawn and it is rotated reversely for soil removal from the auger and examined. So there are two types of auger. First one is spiral or helical auger. Next one is post hole auger. In spiral auger, the auger's cross arms are rotated on the ground until it reaches to a required depth, and it is taken, that is withdrawn from the hole, and it is rotated reversely so that the soil in the spiral auger are removed. In post hole auger, it is placed above the ground and due to push, the soils are collected in that auger and it is taken out and the soils are removed from that auger. Next is suitability. Auger boring is generally suitable in soil where the borehole can withstand without casing or stabilization, and it is found to be particularly suitable for highway, railway, airfield project where low cost. The disadvantage of auger boring is the samples are highly disturbed and mixed. And another one disadvantage of auger boring is difficult to locate the exact stage of soil strata. Next one is wash boring. This method is done by casing is first driven into the ground at a depth of 1.5 to 3 meter. Next, a hollow drill rod with a chisel shaped is attached at the stopping bit is attached at the bottom, and it is inserted into the casing. Through the hollow drill rod, the water is pumped down that emerged as a strong. So, the soil get disintegrate and carries the broken slurry between the space between the drilling rod and the casing. This return of water is collected on the above the ground in a tank, and after few minutes that above water are to be reused for this purpose. So the process of raising and dropping and turning of drilling rod is continue even below the bottom of the casing reaches, and at some stages the casing is further driven into the borehole extended to a providing an additional base. Here the soil samples are collected by attaching soil sampler at the bottom of the drill rod and by removing the chopping bit, and it is the sampler is attached at the bottom. Now this undisturbed soil is brought along with the soil sampler. Sometimes bentonite slurry may be used instead of water as a drilling fluid which stabilizes the wall of the borehole. So this is a figure. The advantage of wash boring method is one of the simplest and the fastest method of soil exploration. Next, the equipment used for this method is light and inexpensive, and it is adopted in inaccessible location such as on water, swamps, etc. Here undisturbed soil samples are to be done in this method. The main disadvantage is this method is slow in stiffer and coarse grained soil, and this method is not suitable for collecting undisturbed soil sample. Next one is percussion drilling. Percussion drilling means alternating raising and dropping. That is alternate raising and dropping or combination of heavy drilling tools to break down the material. So the combination of drilling tool consists of drilling rod with chisel shaped chopping bit is attached at the bottom. Next, periodically removing the slurry using bailers, and the amount of water introduced into the hole in this method is kept minimum required to form a slurry. Here change in soil profile are indicated by rate of progress of drilling or color of slurry or examination of consistency of the slurry. The main advantage of percussion drilling is that it is used in all type of soil or rock, are particularly useful for soil containing boulders and rocks. Disadvantage means is that blows of chisel disturb the soil at the bottom of a borehole. So it is not economical for borehole diameter less than 100 mm. And it is difficult to trace a thin layer or slight changes in soil strata. Next one is rotary boring or drilling method. So it is a very fast method for advancing holes in a rock and soil. So in this method, the borehole is advanced by rotating a hollow drill rod, which air chopping bit is attached at the bottom. The drill rod is rotated by a drilling head provided at the top of the drill rod. Here the drill head consists of rotary drive mechanism and arrangement for applying downward pressure. As a drill rod is rotated, the cutting bit cheer up chips of the material penetrated. A drilling mud is usually a water solution of bentonite slurry is used with or without admixture to continuously force down the drilling rod. So the drilling fluid serves normally three functions. To carry out the cutting of materials, it also cools the cutting bit. It supports the wall of the borehole in uncased borehole. When the rotary boring is done through the rock, when it required to collected rock core sample, a coring bit is attached at the bottom of the drill rod instead of cutting bit. So this is a figure for rotary boring. Next, advantage of rotary boring. It is more rapid than another method. It also causes less disturbance to the soil during sampling. And due to this reason, the applications are increasing day by day. Disadvantage: the equipment is expensive and this method is not suitable for inaccessible locations. If the soil contains large gravel, they rotate beneath the drilling pit and cannot be easily broken. So in this video we have seen about the various method of soil exploration. Thank you.